Hello, church. Hello, community. It's great to be with you again this week. If you are on the same Bible reading plan as those of us at Calvary, then you'll be reading this tomorrow. I wanted to read out of Exodus 32, and this is a very familiar account, I think, to many of us. This is, of course, when the Israelites, because Moses has been on the mountain with God for so long, the Israelites, under Aaron's direction, make a golden calf to worship, to bow down to. And, excuse me, in verse 4 of chapter 32 of Exodus, we read this, that Aaron took the gold from their hand that they had brought. He fashioned it with a graving tool and made it into a molten calf. And they said, "This is your God, O Israel, who brought you up from the land of Egypt." And then in verse 5, Aaron said, "Tomorrow shall be a feast to the Lord." I think we usually think about the golden calf as being a representation of a god that the Israelites worshipped in Egypt, or a god from Egypt, or another god altogether. But the way that it's just worded from the verses I read, this is actually an image of what they felt that the Lord, Yahweh, looked like, or at least the way they wanted to image him, the way they wanted to represent him. It wasn't a foreign god, it wasn't another god. They said, "This is your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt," that same God. And why is this important to realize? Well, because they were claiming to worship the true God, the one who Moses was meeting with on the mountain, but they were worshiping him in such a way that was prohibited. Obviously, God had already given the Ten Commandments, the second commandment: don't make an image of any God or of the true God, Yahweh. So why would they try to make an image of God, an image that's a calf of the creator of heaven and earth? Well, they wanted to make God into a God they could handle, perhaps into a God that they could manage, a God that they could understand, a God that wasn't so mysterious. Moses had been delayed on the mountain. They began to be fearful. And this was a God that was revealing himself to them in ways that they had never experienced before, powerful ways, holy ways. And like many of us do, all of us do from time to time, they said, we were like a God that we can image in such a way that we can understand him, that we can even perhaps control him, or at least wrap our minds around him. Not a God that frightens us, or a God that demands more of us than we think that we can do, or any number of ways that we tend to misrepresent God in our hearts, which is idolatry. I don't think any of us are in danger of making an image, an actual image of God, and bowing down to it. But we all do that in our heart. We misrepresent who God really is. So what do we need to do? Well, we need to always be asking God to reveal himself as he is. And he reveals himself in his word. Not visually, but audibly. He speaks to us through his word. He reveals himself through his spirit to our hearts. And he reveals himself the most gloriously through Jesus Christ. And so as we open up our hearts and ask God to reveal himself to us as he really is, then we're not in danger of making an image of God, of trying to make him more manageable, or somehow make him a God that we can control or handle, but a God, or the God, seeing him, worshiping him as he really is. And, as we do that, we'll find out that he's better than any image we could conceive of him to be, if we just let him reveal himself to us as he is.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that goes along. I was thinking today about Jacob and Laban and the differences in the gods they served. Jacob, as he's saying, he serves the fearsome God of Isaac, the fearsome God of his father who created all things, and who is speaking to him in dreams and giving him wisdom and telling him, look up and see the spotted male goats. And he helps him and shows him how to become very wealthy and blessed. He was also speaking to him and telling him, leave this land where you are now and go back to your father's land. Go back to the land that I've given your father and your grandfather Abraham. How different the God he served and we serve the almighty, fearsome God, and who Laban served. I mean, Laban served a man-made little god, a pathetic little god that even his daughter was able to kidnap and take with her when they left to return to the land. And then, Jacob's God speaks. Our God speaks into our life. If we listen, if we incline to his word, if we listen to him. Well, our God also spoke to Laban in a dream. And I loved the New Living Translation of it. Genesis 31:24. When he comes to Laban in his dreams, he says, I'm warning you, leave Jacob alone. I mean, that's just powerful. How wonderful that we serve a God who stands and speaks on our behalf, and to our enemies can say, I am warning you, leave my child alone. That was just really powerful how it blended in with what you were sharing about
That's great.
Idolatry. And it just made me really think, who are we serving? And when we are serving anything other than God, we're actually serving ourselves and our own desires, our own plans. And there's no fruit in that. There's no security in our own wisdom or in our own plans. And I got kind of excited and lost there. But
that's good. We serve an exciting God, and we want to serve God for who he is, not for who we envision him to be, but for who he really is. And the Lord will reveal that to us as we seek his face in Jesus Christ.
Yes.
We hope that you're doing that today.
He's so wonderful. Incline to him and find out all the wonderful things that he wants to share with you. Mostly himself.
Amen. God bless you.
God bless.